What do big crew? It's your boy Savon Thomas back with another episode of Coffee and Comments. Today we're going to review the movie 13 Going on 30. Was it good? Was it bad? Let's talk about it. But first, let's take a sip. Welcome back, Being Crew. Again, this is a review of the movie 13 Going on 30. And I'll start off my review just by saying I am not the intended audience of this movie. I will say that off rip. I'm not a rom-com guy really that much. Like, I'll watch romantic comedies here and there. Typically, when I'm hanging out with my mom or my girlfriend is when I watch rom-coms. But this movie I just checked out on a whim because I'm always trying to see, like, is there a movie that's better than The Wedding Singer? For me, my number one rom-com is The Wedding Singer. Close second is The Proposal. And I say a third, like, romantic movie that I really enjoyed was The Vow. Those are really, like, my three favorite, romance movies. I'm a little bit of a hopeless romantic myself, so part of me is, like, kind of as a guy, I'm like, whatever these movies. Sometimes I'm like, you know what, this is a good movie. It's, like, very heartfelt, very emotional that I do enjoy occasionally. And so I checked out 13 Going on 30, honestly, because I posted a reel that talked about, like, 10 rom-coms. It said 10 rom-coms that we wish we were in. And the first one they mentioned was 13 Going on 30. And I was like, you know what? I've heard about this movie. I've never watched it. Let me just give it a watch. And that's kind of where I've been at recently with a lot of movies I've watched. They've been films that I feel like a lot of people have seen that for some reason I just haven't. Like, I just haven't gave it a shot. Because I like niche movies. But, I'm like, you know what? Let me watch some of these bigger films that most people know about. And so for those that haven't seen it, this movie stars Jennifer Garner and Mark Ruffalo. It also has a couple other people in there. Andy Serkis, I think, what's his name? Last name Greer. I forget the girl's name. But it's a movie about this 13-year-old girl who's living her life. And she wants to be one of the cool kids. She has all these dreams. Kind of like, I feel like most kids, a lot of girls who want to be popular, they want to be cool, they want people to look at them. Like, when you're around that age, you're kind of developing, your own identity. You don't know how to be unique and have your quirks because people are making fun of you. Like, most people when they're in middle school, I feel like it's like, or high school too, but it's like, how do I be part of the crowd versus stand out, right? Most people aren't trying to stand out when they're in middle school or high school. They just want to be part of, like, the cool kids. That just means, like, kind of just fit in. And so that's her. She wants to be part of the six chicks. And she has a birthday party. She ends up wishing that she was 30 because of things that don't go right with her birthday party. And so she wishes she was 30. It ends up being 30, right? One of those movies where it's like, they move forward, like Freaky Friday type movie or whatever. So she ends up being 30, and she gets to see how her life has panned out to that point. And a lot of the things she had wished for in her life to happen came true. But overall, the result of her life seems to be good on the outside, but on the inside, like, she starts to uncover some things about the person that she is at this point. That person, like, she didn't know who she was, obviously, because it's like she transformed into this 30-year-old woman. But the woman that was being lived, that life, was not really, like, the greatest on the inside. Like, the girl's doing a lot of crazy stuff. So that's my, like, thought about this movie is, like, first of all, the premise to me was weird. I think the plot makes sense, and it's like, again, like I said, Freaky Friday type movie. But it just there was points in this movie that were weird. Like, I get that it's like a 13-year-old girl in a 30-year-old woman's body, but I was watching this movie and I'm just like, this is so quirky sometimes. Like, her hanging out with other 13-year-old girls because she's 13, but it's like, yeah, I understand that you're 30 though. Right? Or her, like, hitting on the 13-year-old boy at the bar. It's funny, but it's like, it's still kind of weird. Because, again, my thought is Hollywood likes to push a lot of, like, older people on younger people, if that makes sense. Like, there's a couple different movies I've reviewed where I've talked about this, where it's like this old person pushing themselves on a younger person. And I'm not saying they're pushing pedophilia, but they kind of are. And so that's just kind of like the vibes that I got from this movie was like a little bit of like a weird twinge to it, right? And then what I found was funny in this movie was, like, she gets mad at her character, her person. She finds out. The person, like, dates all these guys, but she is sleeping with a married man. But then, like, she's all like, oh, I can't believe I would do something like that. But then she kisses Mark Ruffalo, who's engaged to be married, right? And so it's like your your 30-year-old self is sleeping with a married man. Your 13-year-old self kisses the boy that you like, obviously, but that's also engaged to be married. So it's like, how can you be disgusted in one act but then okay with this act? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. I'm thinking a little bit too far into it, and I understand that. Most people watching this, especially the women, are going to be like, oh, it's just a movie, right? But for me, like, I'm analyzing this movie, I'm like, that's kind of weird to me. You know what I mean? But overall, I thought this was like a good rom-com. Like I said before, I'm not a big rom-com guy in the first place. It wasn't like the best rom-com, I would say, out there. But it was decent. Like, it was better than some of the cheesy like Hallmark stuff you can watch. There were some funny elements to the movie. Even though I talked about like the 13-year-old girls hanging out, I thought that was kind of funny. Like they're like having a slumber party. It's like it's just interesting to me. Overall, I gave this movie a 6 out of 10. I'd put this on our medium roast list. Decent movie. Check it out if you haven't seen it. If you've watched it, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. But that's another episode of Coffee and Comments. Appreciate you guys for tuning in.